Welcome into Wager Talk TV alongside Andy Lang and Tony Mejia of WagerTalk.com. I'm Meghan Payton. We have our Christmas Eve game this week. That is the Raiders in Pittsburgh taking on the Steelers, celebrating the 50th year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. And it wouldn't be right to start this video and not mention the great Franco Harris, who passed away today, 72 years old. The Steelers are retiring his number on Saturday night, Christmas Eve. This was a special game. He has a huge impact on the NFL as a whole and is to thank for the Immaculate Reception. The Raiders had their little bit of a immaculate reception, we'll call it, last week with their big win against the Patriots with a runoff touchdown pick six. The Steelers, though, are favored in this game, -2.5. The total at 37.5. Kickoff Christmas Eve. It's our night game at 8:25 p.m. Eastern time. Kenny Pickett is expected to start. He's supposed to clear concussion protocol, according to head coach Mike Tomlin. I like the Steelers here. I expect it to be a low-scoring game, as we are seeing the total at 38.5. Tony, anything you're eyeing for Vegas, Pittsburgh?
Well, I noticed that it's going to be like 9 degrees. So I'm wondering whether Las Vegas is equipped to handle this type of atmosphere. You know, Pittsburgh is. I think Najee Harris will probably have a big game. He's been dealing with an injury, but should play through a hip thing. Over the past 6 games, after struggling through the first 8, he's averaged 4.2 yards per carry. He's racked up 429 rushing yards, over 70 per game. For the first 8, he had averaged 45 per game. So certainly getting him going and having Benny Snell and Jalen Warren available as well. Lets you know that they'll probably take the pressure off of Kenny Pickett, especially in a big game, because we really need to see how Pickett responds in games like this in December. Obviously, he knows cold weather games, having been in Pittsburgh his whole life. We'll see how Derek Carr responds. Obviously, he's the veteran of this group. Chandler Jones reception or interception, whatever you want to call it, because they threw it right to him, kind of deflects from the fact that the Raiders have really struggled. They should have lost that game to the Patriots. They had to rally back. But at the same time, they had one in Denver, one in Seattle, beat the Chargers, and lost barely to the Rams on that Baker Mayfield heroic comeback. So they've actually been playing their best ball of the season. Josh Jacobs has been consistent throughout. So this is a game where I'm Switzerland. I really don't know what direction to go in, other than I do like the fact that Pittsburgh is at home in cold weather. But I'm going to probably stay out of this, other than potentially a Najee Harris over his rushing yard prop.
Both teams sitting at 6 and 8 on the outside, looking in for the playoffs. Andy, I start to think about players and teams that are kind of in this in-between spot. The energy must get worn out at some point. This is where I start to look at a little bit more unders. But what's your approach for 2 teams that have very slight playoff chances, if we're being honest?
I'm going with an under. Deontay Johnson, under his receiving total. Deontay Johnson's 3 highest receiving totals this entire season are 98 yards, 82 yards, and 84 yards. All of those games are with Mitch Trubisky as the quarterback. His highest total with Kenny Pickett is just 63 yards. Pickett's clear to play. Raiders' pass defense has been pretty decent recently. Not good, not bad, just pretty decent. And this is just a big fade of Deontay Johnson and a lack of chemistry with Kenny Pickett. I don't know what the total is going to be. We're recording this on Wednesday, but if it's anything in the mid to high 50s, I'm taking it under. It should be cold. Receptions are going to be tough to come by, and Pickett and Johnson just are not on the same page for big plays. Last game, they had 11 targets and only 5 catches. So Pickett's been inaccurate throwing to them. So just a fade of Deontay Johnson when Kenny Pickett's quarterback.
Nothing says Christmas Eve like a low of 7 degrees in Pittsburgh. This is going to be a fun one. Raiders, Steelers celebrating the Immaculate Reception. I appreciate Tony, Andy. We love you here at Wager Talk TV and all of your insights. More from them on wagertalk.com. Go give them a follow over on Twitter. That's at Bump Sports for Andy and at Mejia Dinero for Tony. We've got more coming up. NFL Week 16.